All right. Hi, everyone. Anybody that's new to my channel and sees me react like this is going to be like, who the hell are you? And that's fine. And some of you who do know the channel might still watch this and go, who the hell are you? I do look about as shaggy as some of the people on the new show that we're going to be talking about. But yeah, I'm back. at least I, at least for this second, I am back. So welcome back to my channel, Smirking Reviews. This is Shaggy as Hell Rob. My God, this is the first time looking at myself through the camera this way. I've seen myself in the mirror many a time with this long hair, and I just didn't feel like putting it up. And if it didn't look like total crap, I was just gonna leave it the way it is. So what brings me out of my hole, my cave, whatever? Now I've been gone for a while. I've been dealing with a lot of stuff, and what could possibly bring me out? I mean, you clicked on it, you know what we're talking about. And today we're talking briefly about the first two episodes of Amazon's The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. And yes, you can almost not talk about this show without talking about all the supposed controversy surrounding this show. We're not going to get into too many spoilers in this video. There will be a moment that I talk about, like little moments that I talk about without getting into too much detail. Um, but as always, just watch out for minor spoilers that I might talk about here and there in this show. Um, Now, one of the things I think a lot of people know is that I don't talk about things that I don't want to talk about. And I try not to go out of my way to review things that I'm just going to tear apart. If I don't watch something, I'm not, and I don't, if and I don't like it, I'm not gonna, if there's something that I've been reviewing and I see an episode that I don't like, it's not like I'm going to avoid talking about that. So me talking about this is already a minor spoiler. It means that I liked it. In fact, I more than liked this. I really liked this. And I'm really felt compelled to talk about it because of that feeling, because I've been missing it in any kind of new programming. All Saul is over. For me, that was the last great show on television. We went through a real golden age, and we still kind of are. There's still some really good nuggets out there, but like The Expanse is gone, you know. So that's another great show that's come out, but it's run its course, and there's probably going to be more of that show in some form. But a lot of my favorite stuff is over, and for the most part, I just haven't been impressed with almost anything out there. Even some of the Marvel stuff that I love. I love my comics, but I've just been kind of, and I'm not fatigued. I'm just seeing a general quality in a lot of things, whether it's in writing or acting or production. Um, and so, surrounding this show, the controversy surrounding this show, of course, how uh, what is happening with a lot of things. I would say pretty much everything pop culture related. Anything that is already an existing IP is completely swarmed by one side or the other or both with this is woke, this is about cancel culture, or the other side that goes too far sometimes too and screams back at each other, and we're all just screaming into the void at each other about don't like this because of this and like this because of this and messages and anti social justice warriors and anti-social justice warriors and all this garbage, all this background noise that just doesn't matter, especially because we're talking about things that haven't even come out yet. We have become obsessed with the hype. We become obsessed with the conversation about things that we don't know anything about. We dissect things out of frames that we see with no context. So many shows and movies are destroyed before they're even given a chance to come out. I recently did a thing about She-Hulk, a couple little barely videos. They were like little TikToks practically of me saying, you just got to give it a chance. And after the fact, I have some opinions on She-Hulk. This isn't a video about She-Hulk, but I will be talking about She-Hulk on a friend's channel coming up. And as I was championing people to give that show a chance after watching it, my opinion kind of changed. But it's after I watched it. People aren't willing to do anymore. Some of these people have already made up their minds because of their own agendas, which is to get you to click on a video so that you can hear your own opinion blasted back at you. There's a real hateful side of YouTube that has been growing and growing and festering like a cancer. And a lot of people just instantly want to hate things these days. Their lives are sucky. The guy that they wanted in the presidency isn't there anymore, and their world is completely over because of it. And so that side of things has decided to tear down every little thing, because if they can't have their thing, then no one else should. And it's disgusting. And so they've done the same thing with this show. Before it even comes out, it is woke this and cancel culture that, and focusing on the images of the screaming feminist or whatever that just is always the far side of something instead of the normal side of things. And most of these people don't even believe it. I have a feeling that a lot of these people sit down and watch the stuff and actually products, but they if they were to actually say that they like it, that would be changing directions, and they'd be changing their brand midstream. And all these people that have been swallowing their poison gleefully and giving them their money gleefully and gladly and happily to keep spreading this hate, if they did that, they'd start losing that money. If they actually admitted that they liked something and they were wrong, they would be feeling, oh, I can't do that to my audience. So this is what we have to talk about before we can even talk about this. I guess I don't have to, but I feel compelled to, because this show, sitting down and watching it this morning, dark room, big TV. Sorry, I had to pause the video very briefly because I thought I'd be a distraction in the background. And it's not. We're actually going to finish this thing. So, yeah, I'm sitting in the dark. My big TV turns on. I have no expectations. I have no expectations because, to be really honest, the only Lord of the Rings book I ever read was The Hobbit. And I have not read The Hobbit in probably 30 years. I've had the Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring 2 times. I've had it all in my hand. I've been to the store. I've seen the books. I've almost got them. I've so much of what I know about the Lord of the Rings is through the love that other people have and what they tell me. But the majority of what I know and what I love is Peter Jackson's films. And even the Hobbit movies, despite some things that I don't like about them, they still feel steeped in that world, and it's still enjoyable. If you have a long, let's say a long rainy weekend and you just want to kill some time and just veg out on TV, you can turn on all the Lord of the Rings movies, and that's my background. I love those movies. I love the feel of those movies and the way they look and sound in that world, that really cool high fantasy world of elves and dwarves and monsters. It's so cool. I really love it. And I guess, I really wish that I'd gotten into my Critical Role phase way back then, and gotten into Dungeons and Dragons and things like that. All these things that I I felt like we're on a different level of nerd than I've found to love in the last year or so. So that's my thing. Like I don't have all the book knowledge in my head like I do with comic books. I just have the movies. So I don't go in with this kind of expectation of they better have this. Oh my God, they left that out. How could they change this and that? I went in with the same kind of feeling. The only feeling I wanted was like when I remember sitting in the theater for the first time seeing Fellowship and the screen's black and then they hear a voice and then then we come up on the world. And throughout the two episodes that I watched today, I felt something that I hadn't felt in a little while. As I've said, watching like Better Call Saul and stuff, like it's the quality of the writing and the acting and being a part of that world for so long with Breaking Bad and into Better Call Saul and all this, seeing this evolution and everything, and not always knowing where everything is going to go, being surprised and filled with tension and things like that. But this is new, and you don't always get that feeling. But I found it while I was watching these two episodes. I found myself engaged fully into the world. I felt pulled in. Not right away. It took a few minutes, you know. But once there was just this thing that just I didn't even realize was happening as I was just sucked in. And at one point I had to kind of sit back and go, oh, whoa, oh my God, this has me. This has me locked in. I am back in Middle Earth. I loved hearing about where like when I first realized when they were talking about the elves and where they go, and it's like, oh my God, this is where they're like, and I was excited. I was seeing things, and oh wow, this is a different version of that. This is an older version of that. And the world hasn't, fallen to Sauron yet. I'm hearing about things like Morgoth, or I think that's how you say it, like in the war before the war of the Middle Earth and everything, and just I just got so sucked in, and the tension I felt. There was tension, glorious, glorious Quentin Tarantino style tension sometimes in this. I was just so sucked in, and another one of the great pleasures I was having is, unlike the original Lord of the Rings films, I knew a lot of that cast. Not all of them. Some of them I was introduced to, but I mean, I knew who Elijah Wood was. I knew who Ian McKellen was. I knew who Ian Holm was. I knew who Viggo Mortensen was, and Liv Tyler, and Kate Blanchett, and Hugo Weaving, and Jonathan. Oh gosh, Sala from Indiana Jones. Why can't I remember his name? Hey, I got a lot of names. I rattled off a lot of people just then, and more. There were other people like, um, oh God, I'm not going to get that far. But you get what I'm saying. But I knew all those actors, and they became those characters. But there was the certain kind of baggage that comes with knowing an actor. Like you see Tom Cruise, and you basically the entire movie you just see Tom Cruise. It's just Tom Cruise being Tom Cruise. Every once in a while, he'll disappear into a role and you'll go, wow, he's really good in that. Why? Because he's not, you don't see him as Tom Cruise. Well, in this, I know like almost no one for once. And we was talking about this on something else recently. It was the Game of Thrones prequel, where I barely know anybody but like Matt Smith and a couple other actors like Olivia Cook and Rhys Ifans. But unlike that as well, this show has almost nobody. The only one I really know is Nazanin Boniadi. And the only reason I know her is from her work on Homeland, How I Met Your Mother, and especially Counterpart. If you haven't seen Counterpart with J.K. Simmons, she's fantastic in that. So I wasn't 100% that was her in this. I actually had to look it up to be sure. And she was. And I was really happy to see her in this. I like that actress. But for everybody else, they got to be clean slates for me. I get to see some interpretations of younger versions of Elrond and Galadriel, and probably a bunch of other characters that are kind of going to pop up here and there, which will be fine. Um, and so I wasn't bogged down in any of that. And I wasn't seeing, oh, wow, look, like some people are going to be that can't just let things go. It's like, why are there so many women? Why are there people of color in this high fantasy world? Like, I didn't feel any of that. I didn't see any of that. I didn't care because the world was so well realized, and the writing, which is like my big linchpin for so many things, was here. The second episode literally has Jennifer Hutchinson, writer, producer, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, involved in the show. She writes the second episode. And it's not to say that she couldn't have written, it could have just been like I could have like she could have written a bad episode. Who knows? But guess what? When you hire quality veteran writers who clearly love the work and are just writing to write and not trying to write with a bunch of overall messages, because even though Lord of the Rings has a history of being based on some things, Tolkien's original work was about stuff from our own world, and it's here, but it's not drowning us in it. And there are some things that I saw that I can't help but see now because of the way our culture has turned on intelligence and progressiveness and change, necessary change for a society to keep growing and not crumble into darkness, which is kind of like, it's kind of crazy how like Tolkien stuff was about, let's call it fascism and dictatorship in Europe. And here we are all these years later having to deal with that in our own country. And why wouldn't this show kind of have that back in the back of it? Because that's what is going on. But it is not drowning us in it. But I could see where those people are going to go, why is it that the white guy's got to have a problem with this? Well, he's not just someone. This is just fantasy characters. But there is that message because that's the world we live in. And if you don't like it, guess what? There's a billion other shows. But it's with these IPs again. These people who just decide to die on this hill that if Lord of the Rings isn't exactly the way I want it to, as me as my Christian, Republican, MAGA life, I'm sorry. I gotta stop my too far. But you get what I'm saying. This show is not drowning in that at all. It is Middle Earth again. It is Tolkien's world. And this might be, all these years later, a different story, an older story. But the production is still there. The acting is still there. The writing is still there. There is a moment in this between Elrond and Prince Durin and that literally made me a little emotional. I'm not, crying over here, but it literally had that, like, where I got that little, as Dennis Leary would go, in my chest. And I went, oh, wow, that's a genuine, heartfelt moment between two men who haven't seen each other in a long time. And it wasn't cringy. It was honest. And I loved it. I was like, oh my gosh. And then there was the scenes where creatures were coming and I genuinely cared about what was happening to the characters. Whether it's Galadriel making a very important choice and how they played that off and the consequences of that and where her story's going to go. I didn't see that coming. I was like, oh my God, is she really going to, what is happening? To this mysterious stranger who, very much like Kal-El, comes out of the sky and is, with a halfling, or as they call them, there's a different name they call them in this. Give all these things away, but like where everybody's going, like, and where their journeys are starting and headed, I'm so in. That's all I really want to say. To get past this, we have to get past our problems with things and allow ourselves to actually enjoy things. Stop worrying so much about all the bull crap that's out there. Everything has to be this or it's awful. Each group of us, we used to go to the movies and just go to the movies. And now we do it in our homes, and we can still do that. We could still have that feeling if we just let ourselves. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't ignore. If something is really, really bothering you, if something is really, really not speaking to you, if something goes against your core values, if something goes against that line, there's that line that we have, that if it crosses it for you, fine. Just turn it off. There are a million other things. There are so many IPs. There are so many things to choose to die on that hill. But every once in a while, we need to let things go. And I'm so happy that I don't have to make that choice for this show. But I know some of you are going to have to. If you choose to just watch this show every week and hate it every week, time is precious. Don't waste it on watching something you don't like. So anyway, that's all I really have to say about this. I was going to try to be clever and break out my neuralizer today and maybe give you a better memory. But I don't feel like doing that. Not on the first time making a regular ass video again. I don't even think I really swore that much in this video, and that's really wild for me, especially when I start to get bothered talking about idiots on the internet. Because I'm still filled with the awesomeness of this. I can't wait to watch this again today. I don't know if I'll watch it with my community. I don't know if I'll even watch it with a family member. I don't know, but I'm watching it again. That's another sign that you've got something. 2 hours of my time I have to give up on my day off after already watching it once. That to me is already the sign that you've got something great here. Amazon, it may have a bad reputation. It's been a earned bad reputation. But this show, it's a reason to keep Prime, I'll tell you that. So anyway, everybody, thanks for watching. Be good to each other. Enjoy the show, or don't enjoy the show and move on. Otherwise, this is Rob saying have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.